Hi, my name is Eddie Jones. This is a copy of my photo ID, and today I will be relating criminal law to the Florida Stand Your Ground law. On HusseinandWeber.com, it is stated that a person is justified in using force, except deadly force, against another when and to the extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend himself or herself or another against the other's prominent use of unlawful force. However, a person is justified in the use of deadly force and does not have a duty to retreat if he or she reasonably believes that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony. As we all know, this Trayvon Martin case in Florida, where George Zimmerman was on neighborhood watch. I think that the stay your ground law is kind of biased because it could work in very many different ways. Uh, it stated that George Zimmerman made a phone call to the 911, and the dispatcher basically told him not to exit his car and to wait for proper authorities to arrive. He took it upon himself to stop the kid, Trayvon Martin, to basically take the situation upon his own hands. Um, the teenager Trayvon Martin was unarmed and undangerous. He wasn't a threat to anyone. He was only trying to get home. The police only found that he uh, was covered with a hoodie, and I think it was. They said it was raining that night, but I think that ground was kind of biased because I think it should um, have been allowed that if that was the case, that he was trying to rob someone, that the person inside of the dwelling had the right to stand their own ground, and not George Zimmerman. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I think that the the neighborhood watch program states that a weapon of any kind of sort or anything like that should not be allowed to, and you should not act as proper authority, in which he did. Another situation where a husband and wife were uh, arguing, and the wife fired a warning shot. Okay, she fired a warning shot because basically she thought that she was at risk of great bodily harm. So she fired a warning shot at her husband, but now she's facing 20 years to life in prison just for this shot. She did not kill him. She only wanted to scare him off because she knew what was going to happen. Because, as police records stated, that there were several 911 calls. Um, I think that criminal law relates to this because criminal law should be overruled by the stand your ground law because I think like I said, the stand your ground law is kind of biased. Um, it also says in the home protection, use of deadly force, presumption of fear of death or great bodily harm. It said a person is from the same website. It says a person is presumed to have held a reasonable fear of imminent peril of death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another when using defensive force that is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm to another if the person against whom the defensive force was used in the process of unlawfully and forcibly entering, or had unlawfully and forcibly entered a dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle, or if that person had removed or was attempting to remove another against the person's will from the dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle. It says the person used the defensive force knew or had a reason to believe that an unlawful or forcible entry or unlawful and forcible act was occurring or had occurred. Uh, on that, I think that it should have been worded a little bit better. But criminal law it kind of coincides, but it shouldn't because there are so many other statutes in other states. This is the only state that have such a law, And I think that this basically gives people the motive to think that it might not be the case that they could be, not even going to get robbed or anything, but they can, make it look like that just to get away with murder, I think. And I think that it should be more statutes of limitations on this law. Therefore, I think that it should be revised and reworded, the context very forcibly. My name is Eddie Jones, and this is how I relate the Florida Stand Your Ground law to criminal law. Thanks.